Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Colonel James DeVere. I'm the 302nd Airlift Wing Commander, and we are starting our normal MAFFS aerial firefighting training. However, it is not in our normal way that we do our training. Obviously, we're all involved and affected by the pandemic that's going on, and we have taken many precautions in this year's training. So we would normally be up in Boise, Idaho right now with all 4 airlift wings. Ourselves, Cheyenne, Reno, Nevada, and California performing training. That was what originally was scheduled. However, with social distancing, what we like to call physical distancing and socially connected, but with physical distancing, we decided that we're going to do it right here at home station. And we put a lot of precautions in place, meaning the crews only come in when they fly. We have very minimal staff. We're taking precautions, cleaning the aircraft each time it flies. But what's most important is we're getting our training done, because this pandemic will have no effect on wildland fire. And we need to be prepared in our mission to fight the fire when needed with our partners, the United States Forest Service. And I'd also like to throw out that our support for defense agencies, defense civilian support for agencies is so important, and not just in this wildland firefighting event, but also with all our reserve airmen that are out on the front lines fighting the battle. We have many in the medical community and outside the medical community that are up in New York City right now and other areas across the United States, helping our airmen and our American citizens with this fight. So we'll be doing this for the rest of the week, and our training will hopefully get all completed, and we will be ready to go for the fire season. With that, I would like to turn it over to Ms. Kim Christensen, if she's on the line, and let her speak on the United States Forest Service. Kim, are you up? Did she dial in? Okay, nothing heard. So at this point, I would like to turn it over to Lieutenant Colonel Brad Ross and let him explain a little bit more in detail how we're actually performing our training this year under the new restrictions, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Hi, everyone. My name's Lieutenant Colonel Brad Ross. I'm the MAFFS Program Manager at the 302nd Airlift Wing here at PETERSON Air Force Base. We've got a little bit of a different year this year in terms of our MAFFS training, as Colonel DeVere just mentioned. Things aren't quite the same for us as they are for just about everybody in the country. I just got done flying my training missions for the day, and just completed that about an hour and a half ago or so. The flying training is more or less the same. Airplanes still work, and Bernoulli's principles still work, and the airplanes still fly. As he mentioned, there's probably still going to be some fires this summer, so we're going to be prepared to do what we can or what we need to help out our mission partners, the Forest Service and other civilian agencies, to do what we have to do this summer. We just had to modify our training a little bit and put a little bit of thought into it before we moved on and got our training complete for the year. With that, I'll I guess open it up for questions. If anybody has anything, I'll answer those questions, and if Ms. Christensen comes on, we'll turn it over to her as well.
Hey, Carl, it's Tom Roeder with the Gazette. It's setting up to be one of the worst wildfire seasons we've seen since Waldo and Black Forest. Talk a little bit about how preparing here could also make you ready to fight here this summer.
Well, I can't speak exactly to forecast for fires this coming summer, I'll leave that to the Forest Service folks to discuss in terms of what we're looking at. I do know we need to be ready to help out when we're called. The training that we're conducting right now, though, is more or less the same as we conduct every year. We spend about a week of flying together and flying with our civilian counterparts, our lead plane and Forest Service experts to get us where we need to go. They're the experts in the fire tactics and so forth. And we spend a pretty solid day of ground training prior to starting our flying training. This year, we normally do that ground training in a big group of people, about anywhere from 200 to 300 people. Obviously, in the current environment, that wasn't the best answer. So we did our ground training much like we're doing this interview right now through technological means, the marvels of modern technology, and accomplished our ground training that way, and started flying yesterday. Fortunately, the weather has treated us well. Things are looking good out there, and we're getting a lot of good flying training in. And we'll be ready to go to work this summer if we're needed.
Lieutenant Colonel, this is Scott Harrison at Channel 13 KRDO. Can you talk a little bit about to what extent this pandemic is going to limit what you can or can't do at the scene of a fire, and to what extent do you kind of have to push back whatever some of the restrictions for like the general public might be in order to get the fire put out?
Well, as Colonel DeVere mentioned, the fires they're not gonna care whether we have a pandemic going on with the virus or not. When they start, they're gonna do what they do, and we need to be ready for that. In terms of our preparation and what we're going to be able to do this summer, I can't speak to what the ground firefighters will be able to do and what their limitations are. I'll have to defer that to the Forest Service experts on that. I know they're putting a lot of planning into things like that, how they're going to handle large groups of folks required to suppress fires this summer. In terms of what we're doing, once we get to the airplane and we're operating within the airplane, things are more or less normal. We can still fly the airplane with PPE or masks on. That's not going to affect how we're able to do our job in the aircraft. What it does affect is when people need to be in close quarters on the ground and whatnot. And both our agency partners, Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, as well as our DoD partners in other units, are all taking pretty significant precautions in order to make sure that we're keeping each other safe. Wearing masks when we're in close proximity. We have some disinfecting procedures for preventative measures on the aircraft, and then when we get to the civilian tanker bases where we load up with water or retardant, we limit our contact where we would normally go in and talk to people face to face. We hold our conversations either over the phones or over the radios, or we'll make sure that we have masks or PPE on when we have to be in close contact with them and can't avoid being close by folks.
How many people are in the unit, and how many have to be on a plane during a mission at any one time?
On the plane, we have a crew of 6 for this mission. Total number of people in the unit, we have about 60 crew members in our unit qualified in the mission, and we have 4 airlift wings. We're the only reserve wing, and we have 3 Air National Guard wings, as Colonel DeVere mentioned. Cheyenne, Wyoming Air National Guard, Nevada Air National Guard, and California Air National Guard out of Channel Islands, that all perform the same mission. We have about the same number of people in each unit that perform the mission.
Is it one plane in your unit, just one plane, or is there more than one aircraft?
We have a total of 8 airplanes, but we at any one time we utilize 2 for the firefighting mission, and each of the other units that I mentioned also has 2 aircraft and 2 modular firefighting systems that fit in the back of their airplanes, able to perform this mission.
And how are the members of your unit coping with this virus so far? Has anybody tested positive? Has anybody had symptoms, anything like that? What's the look? How's that looking?
There's been no major concerns right now. I can't really talk to specifics about specific numbers and people just for privacy reasons. However, at this point, it hasn't presented a significant issue for us, other than the obvious issues that everybody's dealing with throughout the community.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, if there's no other questions, did anybody have any further questions for either Colonel DeVere, or I don't see Ms. Christensen on here yet.
Oh, I did have a question. This is Lainey Cook. I'm with Fox 31 in Denver. I was wondering if, I'm not sure if I would need the Forest Service to speak to this, but if you anticipate the human activity to be down, the human activity that can sometimes lead to wildfires, are you preparing to see less people out in the forests at that time?
I don't know that I could really answer that. Obviously, the restrictions in place vary significantly state by state, and the effect that would have on the fire season and what may or may not lead to a wildland fire. I think I'd have to leave that to the Forest Service personnel to answer that. And I think I'll turn this back over to Colonel DeVere. He had a couple more comments to make.
So we're trying to keep our 6-foot social distancing here, but I wanted to chime in on that last question a little bit. So I think we all know that most people are taking advantage of being outside right now. And what I think would be most important is for you to address how important it is to maintain safety when you're out hiking and in the wildland. I know there's a fire restriction going on right now, and any way we can get that information out would be great to ensure people aren't having fires, bonfires or campfires, smoking, because we all know that has led to some pretty bad fires right here in Colorado. But for as far as our part goes, we're partnered with the Forest Service, and when they give us a call to say they're at max capacity with their tankers, we are ready to respond to that. Okay, we are having a little bit of technical difficulty getting Kim on the line, but it looks like we're still working it. Does anybody else have any other questions that we can answer? And there was a question earlier about the number of people in our wing. We have a total of 1,300 members in our Airlift Wing, 1,300 reservists that work mostly right here in Colorado. And so you can see the 60 that are aircrew are a small number of that. And of that 60, we probably have about another 180 total that are aircrew members, but only 60 participate in the wildland firefighting effort. And mostly those 60 are our most experienced aircrew members. They're the ones that have the most flying time. Most of them are instructor qualified, and that's why they're selected, because it is a challenging mission. We fly at 150 feet off the ground and in some rugged terrain, high density altitude, and at slow air speeds. So you really need to be on your game and be able to back each other up to ensure the safety of this mission.
Colonel, would you spell your name for me just for the record so I get it correctly?
Absolutely. DE, capital VERE, DeVere.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. I don't see her name over here. Oh, okay. All right. Kim, are you up and can you hear me? Kim, can you hear me? Well, we apologize about the technical problems here. It looks like she's dialed in, but no response. Okay. Okay, let's try one more time. Kim Christensen, are you up? Yeah. Well, we apologize. Can we answer any other questions? Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate the fact that you have an interest in our military and how our military is supporting our American public. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you.
All right, sweet. Takes care of that, I reckon.